Every year, an average of 50 people in the United States are executed, a chilling fact that underscores the grim reality of death row. The starkness of this truth can be hard to digest, but it's a part of our justice system that is seldom discussed. Yet it's a world that exists, hidden away from the public eye, where individuals wait for their final moments, often for years, sometimes even decades. Let's delve into some shocking statistics. Each year, approximately 2,400 people find themselves on death row in the United States. That's a staggering number, isn't it? Now consider this. The average person on death row spends about 15 years awaiting their fate. That's 15 years of living each day knowing it could be their last. And it gets even more unsettling. A study conducted by the National Academy of Sciences revealed that 1 in 25 people on death row are likely innocent. That's about 4% of the total death row population who may be wrongfully convicted. So what does this mean? It means that in the last 4 decades, around 200 innocent individuals could have been executed. A chilling thought, isn't it? Yet it's a part of our reality, a reality that we seldom pause to contemplate. And let's not forget those who are exonerated. Since 1973, over 170 people on death row have been exonerated and released. That's more than 170 lives that could have ended prematurely based on wrongful convictions. The death row world is a complex one riddled with controversial procedures, legal complexities, and emotional turmoil. It's a world where justice and error precariously balance on the thin line of life and death. These harrowing figures only scratch the surface of the intricate and controversial world of death row. As we delve deeper into this topic, the grim reality of death row becomes more evident, inspiring a need for dialogue, understanding, and change. Among the thousands who have sat on death row, there are notorious figures whose crimes have shocked the nation and the world. Let's delve into some of these high-profile cases, starting with Ted Bundy. Bundy, a charismatic law student, turned out to be one of the most infamous serial killers in American history. Throughout the 1970s, he committed a series of horrific crimes, ultimately confessing to the brutal murders of at least 30 women. His charming demeanor masked a monstrous personality that left a trail of devastation across multiple states. Then there's Timothy McVeigh, the man behind the deadliest act of domestic terrorism in American history. In 1995, McVeigh orchestrated the Oklahoma City bombing, which claimed the lives of 168 people, including 19 children. His acts were fueled by a deep-seated hatred for the federal government and a desire to ignite a revolution. Finally, we turn to Aileen Wuornos, a name that sent shivers down the spine in the early 1990s. Wuornos, a sex worker, was convicted for the murders of 7 men in Florida. Her life was one marred by hardship and abuse, which many believe drove her to become a killer. Despite her grim past, her cold-blooded crimes were impossible to justify. Each of these individuals, Bundy, McVeigh, and Wuornos, were sentenced to death for their heinous acts. Their stories serve as chilling reminders of the capacity for evil that can lurk within seemingly ordinary people. While their crimes differ, they all share a common thread, a disregard for human life so extreme that society deemed them deserving of the ultimate punishment. These infamous individuals represent some of the darkest chapters in our society's history. Their names are forever etched into the annals of crime, serving as stark reminders of the depths to which humanity can sink. As we move forward, it's crucial to remember these cases, not to sensationalize the gruesome details, but to understand the profound impacts of such actions on victims, their families, and society as a whole. These infamous individuals represent some of the darkest chapters in our society's history. The death penalty is not a one-size-fits-all sentence. There are various methods used across different jurisdictions. In the realm of capital punishment, the method of execution is as varied as the crimes that warrant it. Today, let's delve into the grim reality of these diverse methods. Lethal injection, for instance, is the most commonly used method in the United States. The process involves administering a series of drugs to the condemned, inducing unconsciousness, followed by paralysis and ultimately cardiac arrest. The intention is a painless and humane death, but numerous accounts of botched executions have sparked fierce debates. Then, we have the electric chair, a method that might seem archaic but is still in use today. With this method, An inmate is strapped to a chair and subjected to a series of electrical currents, causing fatal damage to the brain and heart. The electric chair's gruesome nature has led many to argue its use constitutes cruel and unusual punishment. Next, the gas chamber, a method that dates back to the early 20th century. This technique involves sealing the condemned in a room where cyanide or hydrogen cyanide gas is released. Death is caused by hypoxia, the cutting off of oxygen to the brain. The firing squad, although rare, is still an option in a few places. The condemned is tied to a chair, and a group of marksmen aim their guns at the heart. The intention is for a swift and immediate death, but accuracy is not always guaranteed. Lastly, there's hanging. This method is used in several countries around the world and involves the inmate being dropped from a height to dislocate the neck and sever the spinal cord. However, miscalculations can lead to a slow and painful death by strangulation. Each method carries its own set of controversies and debates, further complicating the discourse around the death penalty. Indeed, the conversation is far from over, and as we continue to grapple with the ethics and human rights implications of these practices, one thing remains clear. The death penalty is a complex and contentious issue. The death penalty in all its forms has been a subject of intense debate and controversy. One of the most contentious points in this debate is the unsettling possibility of executing innocent individuals. The justice system, while robust, is not infallible. There have been instances where individuals were exonerated posthumously, their innocence proven only after their lives were tragically cut short. It's a chilling thought that underscores the irreversible nature of the death penalty and raises questions about its fairness and justice. Another aspect that stirs controversy is the cost associated with death row as compared to life imprisonment. It's a common misconception that the death penalty is cheaper because it eliminates the costs of housing, feeding, and caring for prisoners for life. However, the truth is quite the contrary. The legal proceedings for death row cases are significantly more complex and lengthy, resulting in higher costs for trials, appeals, and the execution process itself. Some estimates suggest that death row cases can cost up to 3 times more than life imprisonment. There's also the question of deterrence. Proponents of the death penalty often argue that the threat of execution serves as a powerful deterrent against crime. However, numerous studies have shown that there's no conclusive evidence to support this claim. In fact, regions with the death penalty do not necessarily have lower crime rates compared to those where it's abolished. Lastly, there's the ethical dilemma. Is it morally right for the state to take a life as punishment, even for the most heinous of crimes? This is a deeply personal and subjective question, often influenced by individual beliefs, religious views, and cultural backgrounds. These arguments continue to fuel the ongoing debate about the ethical, legal, and practical implications of the death penalty. As we delve deeper into the discourse surrounding death row, it's clear that there are no easy answers, only complex questions that challenge our perspectives on justice, morality, and the value of human life. Our journey into the world of death row has been dark and thought-provoking. We've delved into the chilling reality of this ultimate form of punishment, profiling notorious individuals who found themselves awaiting the end on death row. We've dissected the methods of execution, from the swift yet brutal lethal injection to the electric chair, each method revealing a stark and unsettling portrait of our societal response to crime. We've also explored the divisive controversy surrounding the death penalty. The arguments for and against capital punishment continue to stir up heated debates, reflecting divergent views on morality, justice, and the value of human life. This discourse on death row has exposed us to a side of our society that many of us prefer to keep out of sight and out of mind. As we continue to grapple with the realities and implications of the death penalty, it remains a poignant reflection of our society's approach to justice and punishment, and